Welcome to this week's NENA TC Tip. My name is Michelle Kerr, and for this week's tip, we are under the headset. What I want to talk to you about today is disability awareness. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 adults in the United States now live with a disability. More and more people with disabilities are living and working in the communities that we serve. So it's important for you to be aware of how to interact appropriately with people when you get a call from a person with a disability or about a person with a disability. People with disabilities are 4 to 10 times more likely to be victimized than the general population. And very often they're living in the community with few supports these days. So we want to make sure that you have that awareness. So what is disability awareness? It's just developing a sensitivity to and learning about disabilities and people with disabilities. This is going to allow you to interact appropriately and communicate effectively when you do receive those calls. Very often people avoid people with disabilities, but in your role as a telecommunicator, that's not something that's possible. More and more states are starting to mandate disability awareness training for law enforcement. However, that hasn't carried over into dispatch yet. So if it's not available in your center, I would suggest going on the internet and learning a little bit yourself about disability awareness. It's very simple to Google it and get some information about how different disabilities present and how to interact and ask appropriate questions if you receive a call about a person with a disability. For example, somebody on the autism spectrum very often exhibits elopement behavior. You're going to receive those calls, so it's important for you to know what questions to ask when that person calls about that particular person. Very often people on the autism spectrum will have a stim or have an avoidance of touch or be sensitive to light and sound. You want to ask those questions of the person calling so you can relay that information to field responders. You have to remember, you're the conduit for information to those field responders. That's going to ensure a more appropriate response and a better outcome when you receive those calls about or from a person with a disability. Just remember, having that awareness is going to help you to identify, recognize, and interact better when you get those calls about a person with a disability or from a person with a disability. Very often someone with slurred speech, we tend to think of maybe intoxicated. Very often it's more likely they're a victim of a stroke or have some other speech disability that may be causing that slurred speech. Just be aware that you want to be able to recognize those things so you can better help the public and serve the people that we need to serve. That's this week's TC Tip, and remember, you are 911.